Welcome to the Sales to CEO podcast. This is your host, Louie Herron. This is the only automotive podcast that shows you how to go to the next level. It is my personal mission to coach and inspire and motivate you to go from sales to dealer principal or any level you desire. Stop making excuses and start making adjustments toward the future you want. Today, we're talking about the power of the needs assessment. What's up? It's your host, Louie Herron, Sales to CEO. Guys, we're ready to rock and roll today. I hope you guys are feeling phenomenal. We know that feeling is a choice. Let's get right into what we're talking about today with the power of the needs assessment. Listen, we're going to cover a lot of stuff, and I encourage you also to check out the course, Sales to CEO, Sales to Sales Manager, if you're interested in really finding out what it takes to go to the next level. These podcasts don't do that course justice. We're talking 53 videos on a video platform with almost 120-page workbook that goes with everything, and it goes over everything of what it takes to become a sales manager, going to the next level. Remember, my mission is to inspire and motivate you to go to the next level. Yes, are you going to become a better salesperson and sell a lot more cars? Absolutely. But the goal is not just to keep you in sales. My goal is to elevate you to go to the next level, to manager. And then once we get to manager, Sales to CEO University goes on and we teach you from sales manager how to be a general manager. That's the goal. How do we keep ticking up this ladder, going to the next level? That's the whole focus point. And the whole goal of Sales to CEO University is to get you to a point where if you desire to become a dealer principal, maybe a partner, or maybe just you want to be a general manager, hey, it's fruitful at the top as a GM as well. You want to maximize your time in the car industry. That's my whole focus and mission, is to help develop folks in the automotive business to get to the next level. Today, we're starting with the ground floor level. We're talking about selling. We're talking about sales process. We're talking about the needs assessment. This is the time where you're really digging in deep with the consumer, and what I call number one of the two most important pieces. The write-up, I think, is probably the most critical, because no write-up means no deal. And then also the needs assessment. This is where we structure the deal. This is where we get everything together. So here's what I want to explain to you. And maybe I can drive the point home. Let's say I'm in the market for a house. I'm ready to buy a house, and I walk into Century 21 Remax, and I ask for a sales representative. And I walk up, and somebody greets me, and they do a nice meet and greet, and we're talking for a few minutes, and I tell them, I say, look, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, ranch style, like a pool, and I want a little bit of land. And I share that with the representative, and the representative says to me, okay, great, hold on one second. Let me grab my keys and let's go look at some houses. She grabs her keys, or he grabs his keys, and we jump in the car and we start driving around looking at 37 homes. Well, obviously it doesn't work that way, right? That's the whole point of a needs assessment. I don't know why we would show a customer 37 cars no more than a real estate agent would show us 37 houses without getting the information, the vital information of deal structure, making sure we understand, are we looking for the mortgage? Have we been pre-approved? What's going on? Now, does that mean I want you to interrogate a consumer up front? No, you just met them. Like literally, you're 5-7 minutes into the deal. You can't just say, hey, my name is Louie Herron. Welcome to ABC Nissan. And your name? Great, nice to meet you. And then all of a sudden we're talking finances and payments and are you approved and what's your credit like? That's the complete opposite of what I want you to do. However, getting to the needs assessment, there's some key components within the needs assessment that set the chain off of putting the car deal together, right? Let's say we go to the doctor. I'm not feeling well, and my throat's sore, and I've been coughing. My chest is congested, and I walk into the doctor's office, and I sign my name in at the receptionist desk, and I sit in my seat. And then 3 minutes later, the doctor comes out and says, Mr. Herron? And I say, yes. And he walks me back there, takes me right to the room and says, how you feeling? And I said, well, my chest is a little sore. I mean, I feel congested and my nose is runny and I just don't feel well. He said, okay, stop right there. He writes me a script, says, go to CVS, take this. I want you to call me in a week. Tell me how you feel. And he lets me leave. Well, it doesn't happen that way, right? That's called malpractice, right? So why would we commit sales malpractice? Why would we try to prescribe something when we don't even know what's going on in the deal? I'm trying to drive the point home to help you understand that that's not how it works at a doctor's office, right? You meet the nurse, she gets your weight, she takes your vitals, she sits down, she asks questions, she loads it in the computer, gives the information to the doctor. Who's the doctor? That's our desk managers, right? We got to give the information to the desk manager so we can find out exactly what we need to prescribe for this customer. So understand, we don't want to commit sales malpractice. We don't want to show 37 homes. We don't want to show 37 cars, right? We want to narrow it down so we can isolate and find out the exact wants, needs, desires, hot buttons, and how to get that done. In 1997, I was selling cars, and I had a manager, and his name was Derwin Ware. Derwin, if you're listening, how are you, my brother? Derwin Ware taught me a valuable lesson. When I first got into the car business, I didn't know anything about a needs assessment. In fact, back in those days, there wasn't much training. At the time, we were just phasing out of Jackie Cooper, and we had some Grant Cardone stuff, and that's all we really had. It was some tapes and go in a room and try to teach yourself. It wasn't much training whatsoever. But I didn't get into a needs assessment or a fact find or a qualify. I was all about meeting and greeting and demoing cars and getting people back in the building and see if we could sell them a car. Derwin sat me down one time and he said, Louie, look, he said, you got a lot of fire, you got a lot of enthusiasm, and you could sell a ton of cars, but you would sell a lot more cars and you would make a lot more money if you would just slow down and do a needs assessment, if you would just do a fact find and qualify. And I didn't really know what he was talking about. And he broke out this sheet, and it was like a 4-square. And on that 4-square, it had 4 different components, very, very basic, nothing like our needs assessment in today's day and age. But it broke down basically the quadrants of the consumer cycle, and it helped me isolate and understand exactly what it would take to kind of formulate and put together a deal. Now, since that time, I've developed a question. This is back in 1997. 95 is when I was selling. 97 is when I developed this question. It's a statement, actually, and I'm going to share it with you. That's how old it is. That's how ingrained in my brain is and how powerful it still is to this day. Now, I know with internet and technology and social media, the business has evolved and changed dramatically. But what I'm going to share with you is extremely powerful. It worked then. It works today, and I'm going to share it with you. But let me go through real quick so we all understand the goal of the needs assessment, because there's some things that I want you to be thinking about that maybe has not run through your mind, because it's more than just landing on the right car. That's a big piece. That's not everything we're looking to do. Number one, we want to slow down so we can speed up. Okay, we want to slow the transaction down so we can eventually speed up. What do I mean by that? I want to be able to get everything up front so I'm able to go through the rest of the process efficiently, right? We want to be outside. It's that upside down triangle. You guys have seen it if you've been in any sales training, right? We want to meet and greet, and we want to fact find. It's real big at the top. And then as it funnels down to the bottom, when we get to the close should be short and sweet because we've done all the work up front. We're going to slow down the process so we can speed it up. I want you to always remember, it's not the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow. We're trying to speed through the process. Number one, it's effective for us. Number two, the consumer cannot stand to be at a dealership 4, 5, 6 hours. You already know that, right? And we're going to talk about that in the needs assessment with our customer. We're going to talk about surveying customers and what they tell us, because we already know they hate to go back and forth and negotiate, and they hate to be at a dealership 4 hours. We're going to use those pain points in the needs assessment to open them up and expand their conversation with us. That's one of the goals, is to slow down so we can speed up. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're building a relationship. Why? Again, friends rarely negotiate pricing. And at the very end, pricing may come up, but they're going to confirm, is this the best deal? You want to develop a friendship, right? If you don't have a friendship and you don't have a relationship developed, they're going to beat you up on price. They have nothing else to talk about but price. We want to stay away from that. During the needs assessment, we have that time to sit down and go through and build a relationship. The other thing we want to do is make sure we discover and we're certain about the hot buttons. What's most important to the customer? What do they want? What do they have to have? What do they need? Now, in another episode, we talked about the meet and greet, and I talked about the power of building a relationship and rapport and having the ability to be outside with a consumer 5, 6, 7 minutes with dialogue of building a relationship, not getting too deep. The reason why is I want to get deeper when we're sitting down. I want to have that dialogue of exactly what they're looking for when we're face-to-face sitting down, where we can actually go through and see exactly what's the most important to them. The other thing we want to make sure, and I'm going to cover it here in a second, is the EMI. We got to get an early manager intro. Okay, and I'll tell you what that looks like and what that sounds like. And if your managers are not doing that, it's a major problem. And I'll tell you, if you're trying to get to the next level, everything we're talking about, everything that I ever say, the reason why it's so important and the reason why I want you to master it is because if you're going to be a manager in the car industry, you're going to have to be able to execute teaching these other people, right? Remember, you want to learn it, you want to live it, then you want to teach it. Learn, live, teach. I'm always talking about that. Learn it, be an expert, live it out, and do it on a daily basis so you have the ability to one day teach it as a manager. The next thing we want to do is we want to grab the keys. We want to do an early appraisal. I'll get to that in a moment as well. And then lastly, we want to touch the desk. So just in identifying the goals of the needs assessment, we've got 7 things we want to get accomplished, okay? So let's start at the top. We talked about slowing down the deal and building that relationship. Here's the statement that I developed back in 1997. I want to share it with you now. And if you're driving, listen, go back and play this because you want to write this down. You're going to want to memorize this. You want to make this your own. I'll say it like I say it, and then I'll elaborate and kind of go through it again. And here's how it goes. We come inside from the meet and greet. We transition to the desk. We take control of the situation, ask the customer to have a seat. We always offer them a beverage, a cup of coffee, something cold to drink. Okay, once we get moving with that, we grab our needs assessment form. We sit down. We already know their names because we talked about in the prior episode, do not forget their names. You fill out the top portion, and then you just look at the customer and you say, Mr. Customer, so I don't make the same mistakes that a lot of salespeople make, a lot of dealerships make. Would you please do me a favor and share with me how you'd like to buy your next car so I can better serve you? Now, keep in mind what I'm talking about here. Would you do me a favor? Would you share so I can serve? These are critical words. I'm telling you, write them down, memorize, practice, drill, rehearse. Once you have it, you can modify it in your own language. But it's very, very important to make sure that you understand and identify that statement. Once again, Mr. Customer, so I don't make the same mistakes that a lot of salespeople make, a lot of dealerships even make. Would you please do me a favor and share with me how you'd like to purchase your next car so I can better serve you? And then you're silent. Now, one of two things are going to happen. Number one, the consumer may say, well, what'd you just say? They'll look at you kind of like, so you have to elaborate. That's your opportunity to then go into, well, here's what I understand about the car industry. We know that, we talk to a lot of our customers through surveys, and they hate to negotiate and go back and forth, and they hate to be at a dealership 4 hours. And a lot of times from people's past experience, they hate to feel like they didn't have much say in the matter, or the dealer or the salesperson try to pin them into a certain direction. Here's what I want to do. I want to know how you want to do it. I want to know what's important to you. What are the must-haves? What are the hot buttons? What is it? Reliability? Is it safety? Get a little more in depth about what you're currently driving. Find an idea of exactly. Have you done any research in the marketplace, maybe on your trade, as well as what you're currently looking to buy? These are the things that I'm concerned with, but I want to know how you want to express that to me, so that way I can better serve you. Now, once you make that statement to the consumer, they will start talking. This allows you to not interrogate, okay, but rather communicate. As they're talking, you should be filling out that needs assessment. As they're talking, they will be filling in answers, and you should be left with maybe 5 or 6 questions that you can phrase in your conversation, relaying back to whatever they just shared with you. Very, very important. That is the statement that I want you to, I'm telling you, it's a powerful statement. It'll make you a lot of money. It'll make the transition in the needs assessment beautiful. It'll allow you to go through the process very smoothly. And again, you're not sitting there just asking them question after question after question. You got to remember, a customer just met you 5-6 minutes ago. They didn't come inside the building to give you information. They came there to drive a car and look around. So you've got to be very tactful, professional, skilled at in your craft to make certain you can accomplish exactly getting that needs assessment filled out. Now, while that's happening, the manager in your dealership, the sales manager, should be hawking the lot. They should be roaming around. They should have their head on a swivel looking at what's going on in the showroom. When a customer's in the showroom, period, everything stops. Everybody, all hands on deck. Everybody should be knowing that we've got a customer with John. Has someone talked to them yet? We go over, and here's what a manager should do. He could just rush the deal. He doesn't have to have any formal introduction by you. He can casually walk over and simply say something like, "How you doing, sir? My name is Louie. I'm one of the managers here. I see you're working with Steve. Steve's one of our finest. Steve's been with us for 2 or 3 years. He does a phenomenal job. I see you're in great hands, by the way. Let me ask you something. What are you currently looking at?" "Well, I'm looking at a Ford F-150. "Oh, great choice. Awesome. Listen, do me a favor. When you test drive the car, I always like to know what you like best about it when you drove it. I'd love to hear that. And then lastly, it's our store stated policy to make sure we give all consumers that come into the dealership all the information they need to make a well-informed decision. We realize you may not buy by today, whenever you choose. But I'm the guy back in the corner, kind of like that Wizard of Oz, the manager that no one ever sees. I'm the guy that does all the numbers. So I would love to do that for you. Make sure you get some figures before you go home. And if I have to come out here personally through the process, I have no problem doing that. But Steve, he doesn't really do the numbers. I handle that. Steve's going to show you everything about the Ford F-150. Make sure you know all the features and benefits. Make sure you have a nice test drive. I'll handle the rest. Fair enough? And then boom, manager's out. Now look, if a manager did that on every single deal, like they're supposed to do on every single deal, they get out from the desk, they get engaged and involved, and that's happening on every single deal, you are setting yourself up for a phenomenal transaction and an opportunity to make gross profit and an opportunity to close a sale. Period. Now, we all know the rule, 10 customers come in, 2 to 3 are going to buy a car. We understand that, but we put our best foot forward when a manager's engaged. So you want to make sure you get an early manager intro. So let's discuss for a moment, what if you've done your needs assessment and no early manager intros happened? No problem, not the end of the world. Here's what we're going to do. When we go up to touch the desk to get vehicle selection, to get a couple of stock numbers, to get them involved, to go through the needs assessment completely where they know what's going on with the deal, at that moment, you're going to let the manager know, hey guys, I need an EMI. I need somebody to talk to my customer real quick. You don't have to be there. Okay, they can breeze right in, rush the deal, introduce themselves, do exactly what I just said earlier, and introduce themselves and go over the same exact stuff. The point is, in an early manager intro, we want to make sure A, they test drive the car, B, they understand that we want them back in the dealership to get figures, and C, we want to make sure they're crystal clear that the salesperson is not going to handle that. So don't beat him up on price because he's just going to refer you to me. That is the goal. Remember, we're trying to get the needs assessment done properly. The last piece we want to do is we want to grab keys. Now, why would we want to do this? Now, in every dealership, everyone's got different philosophies, but I'm going to share with you my philosophy is all about speed, and it's all about commitment. So I want you to think of something for a minute. If I look across the table and I say, Mr. Customer, we survey a lot of our customers through Nissan, and one of the things, like I mentioned to you earlier, is consumers hate to be here for 3 or 4 hours. One of the things we find out is that if while you and I are looking at cars, we can actually appraise your vehicle, and not only will we appraise it, we'll give you a free Carfax on your vehicle and a free appraisal. It doesn't matter if you buy or not. We'll get that to you before you head home. But when we get back from the test drive, and you met Louie earlier, he's going to give you some figures to take home with you. He'll have the appraisal already done, and it really cuts the time. So you don't, again, we're focused on making sure that we're really efficient. So if you would give me your keys real quick, and I'll get the car appraised while we look at some cars. And you put your hand out. Now, what happens when that happens? Number one, if a consumer grabs his keys, what is he telling you? Okay, it's almost like a trial close. He's interested. He's committed. He's in the game. He's willing to see. It also assures you're going to get a write-up. He's going to come back in to get his keys to his trade, but also he wants to see the figures. Now, notice I said on a couple of occasions, when you go home, if you go home, to take home with you, please, please, please don't ever misinterpret. We don't want the consumer to go home. We want to sell a car right now, period. Right now. But understand, my whole philosophy is I'm trying to get the ball down the field. I want to make sure that you go from meet and greet to needs assessment to touch the desk, vehicle selection, demonstration, presentation, trial close, back in the dealership for a write-up so we can put the deal down. If I don't get a write-up, I have no chance of closing a deal. So remember, we're talking about the power of the needs assessment. It's extremely, extremely powerful. Guys, listen, this is Louie Herron from Sales to CEO. I'm telling you, this is the information you need to go to the next level. We've got so much content and so much that I can provide for you that's not only sales oriented. We're going to get into Facebook branding and marketing for sales representatives. We're going to get into the KPIs, leadership and management, how to hold a sales meeting. I cover the whole gamut on what it takes for you to go from sales to CEO. So listen, until the next podcast, keep selling, keep rocking. This is Louie Herron, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the Sales to CEO podcast. Look, real simple. Do me a big favor. Number one, I'm totally grateful you took the time to listen, but share this, like, subscribe. This is how we build our network of growing people in the car industry to the next level. Again, like or share or subscribe right now. Until the next one, great selling, and let's go to the next level.